All right, guys, welcome back to the Daru Strong Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Daru. We are on episode number 14. Today, I had the opportunity to talk with my man, Drew Wilson. Andrew Wilson, the strength and conditioning coach, the head strength and conditioning coach for the University of Colorado football team. We talk about strength, we talk about conditioning, we talk about his newfound love for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, believe it or not, and how we have been working together for a year now. This guy is a very good individual when it comes down to trying to learn each and every day. Even though he's at the top of his game at the Division I level, he still wants to learn and get better. So that's something that I really, really like about Drew. He's also a guy that works hard. I have to pull him back at some time. So programming for him is fun. Again, watching him grow as an athlete along with as a coach. He's been in the game forever, so we go through his entire progress going into the strength and conditioning world in the collegiate setting. It's a cutthroat industry there. A lot of guys don't last long. A lot of guys get fired, but he's been able to stand the test of time at Colorado, and we get into it about that too as well. But before we do that, I want to make sure we shout out the sponsors. Revive MD. Revive MD is a supplement sponsor of mine. It's a supplement company that I trust and use myself. I also have my own athlete stack, my own supplement line there, so that you can go on and get the things that I use personally and I go ahead and give out to all of my athletes. Go on to revivesups.com. Check out Phil Daru Athlete Stack and use the discount code DaruStrong20. Get 20% off your final purchase. Also, want to make sure that you check out my mentorship program online coaching course that is available for everyone if you go to darustrong.com. In that program, you'll get all of the information that I utilize, all of the plans, all of the programming, periodization schemes, the methodologies, and principles that I utilize with all my athletes going further, and you'll have access to it for life. So check it out. Go ahead, go on my website. It's revamped. It looks good. Go ahead and check it out there. Now, without further ado, let's get on to the show.
Welcome to the Daru Strong Podcast. Daru Strong Podcast.
Let's go. Mind over matter. Put your mind somewhere else and keep going. That little voice in your head is trying to stop you from getting to where you want to be. Be successful and keep moving forward.
With your host and world-renowned strength and conditioning coach, Phil Daru.
All right, guys, what's going on? Daru Strong Podcast, back again, episode number 14. I have my man with me, the head strength and conditioning coach for the University of Colorado, Mr. Drew Wilson. Drew, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. How you been?
I'm good. Now, people that don't know, me and Drew have been working together for a little bit now. How long we been working together, primarily?
About a year.
About a year.
Because I reached out to Bo Sandoval, if he knew you, and he said, yeah. And he sent me your contact information, and you're like, I'm going to call you this weekend. I'm like, damn. All right. And then we've been chopping it up ever since.
Yeah. Bo's a good guy, man. Anybody that he recommends. And then I knew who you were. I think I seen something. I think maybe it was like a hammer strength seminar that you did. And that's what I watched. I remember. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know who he is. All right, cool. And then I had a buddy of mine that actually played for Colorado, so that was good. And then, I played college football too, so it was always good to connect with somebody like yourself. Now, for those people that don't know who you are, obviously you're the head guy over there at the University of Colorado. What's your background? This is obviously you started out, with football, but go into it, man, because I know this is a long journey to get to where you're at.
No doubt. Yeah, no. Honestly, I went to school to be a criminal justice sociology major. That's what my undergrad is in. Because my whole plan was like, I'm gonna graduate. I'm gonna join the Marines.
Yeah.
I'm going as an officer, and then after college, I was gonna go to the Marines. I thought, great, going as an officer, and I felt like that was gonna help me become a state trooper. And I'll be honest with you, one day I woke up and I was just like, man, I don't want to go to work one day and that be like the last time I kiss my wife goodbye and don't see my kids, because like it's a tough profession those dudes are in, and see stuff all the time. And then honestly, I've always wanted to know about the human body in terms of like being bigger, stronger, faster, because we had a strength coach in high school, but it was somebody's dad that was like strong. So I think everybody's gone through that phase.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And he was just like, they would just tell you to do stuff. But man, I remember being in high school just reading, because I didn't know. I was reading bodybuilding stuff like muscle fitness, Ironman, all those things, just trying to, just like, dudes are big, so it's got to be what I got to do, just trying to do all that stuff. But then I just felt I was always trying to like seek knowledge from there. And then from there, all my coaches I played for at King's College, they went to Springfield College up in Springfield, Massachusetts, and they got to go to Springfield. That's where exercise science started. I'm like, all right, bet. So I took a year off. I did football coaching because I felt like I owed them that, just because they were going to help me get in. They helped me get in. And then honestly, from there, I went in, just found the weight room right away, found the GAs. I'm like, hey, man, can I help out, volunteer? I don't know anything, but I can clean. Like, I can stack plates. I can fill the fridge. They're like, yeah, dude, just come on in. So I just showed up. And honestly, I worked every sport that was there. I mean, I always wanted to be a part of football, but I worked every sport. And then from there, I did my first internship at Maryland, University of Maryland, because it was the closest one, honestly, under Dwight Galt, who's now the head guy at Penn State. And then after that internship, I went down to Auburn, Alabama, went to Auburn University under Kevin Yoxel. He's in the XFL now, or I'm not sure what's going on with that, but that's what he's doing now. And for experience, and honestly, from there, it went to Florida State, just volunteering. Now, this is me reaching out to these people, like saying, and I'm just looking for a recommendation. I'm not looking for money. I know I'm going to do a bang-up job for you, and that's not me saying it arrogance. I just know my parents instilled a good work ethic in me that I could, man, if anything, I can clean. I can stack stuff. I can organize things for you. Like, I don't know what your program is. No, yeah, man, come on down. And then from Florida State, honestly, when I was at Auburn, Kevin Yoxel told me, he said, Drew, the people that can withstand the fire the longest will survive in this field, because college football just is not kind in terms of the profession. He said, I recommend you do, make a portfolio, send it out to places you would like to be. He goes, now, if you don't want to live in Alaska, don't send it to any place in Alaska. So I sent it out, and lo and behold, I got some responses back, but Chris Dawson, who was the head of Kansas at the time, cold called me and was like, hey, Drew, you want to come out for an interview? I'm like, when? He's like, Friday. It's like Wednesday. I'm like, sure. So I go out, they fly you in, fly out. This is like my first interview I'm on. I didn't know what to expect. You know, I interviewed, and I'm like, all right. He's like, I'll call you Sunday. I'm like, cool. Next thing I get a call Sunday night from him offering me the job. And I like look at my wife. Now, at the time, I'm making $300 a month.
Oh, my God, man.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, but when I tell you I was making $300 a month, free at Florida State to making $300 a month, working at Olive Garden at night, man, I was rich when I was making $300. So I'm like, that's cash flow, and I'm like, I'm making it. Like, this is it. This is what we talk about.
Yeah.
Offered me that job. I looked at my wife. She's like, yeah, let's go. So we went to this. I was there for about a year and a half. Assistant job opened up at the University of Connecticut, and I applied for it the first time. And I'm saying this part because I think people need to understand that you need to have good self-awareness. I applied for the job. I had people that knew people at University of Connecticut did the job. Didn't get the job, and it was like, damn, what I got to do? So I made a goal to myself. I'm going to go back and rework, not reinvent, but like work on myself. Like, what do I need to do better? And honestly, that whole offseason, me and the assistant there, we just like did a lot of just like work on ourselves. Job opened up a year later. Got the job.
There you go.
What I did, I think maybe I was just more mature, more ready, whatever. I was 5 years, and at the time I applied for the head job at Purdue University to be head guy for football. Got interviewed. I got offered the job, and during the whole transition, Randy Etz was the head football coach at Connecticut. He had a job at Maryland, and then he calls me and he's like, "Hey, did you leave?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm getting ready to leave like in 2 days." He's like, "You want to come to Maryland?" I'm like, "Bet." So I had to call the AD up and the coach up, you know, at Purdue. I guess resign without really having signed anything, but I got motherfucked. And I understood in a bad spot in January, but the AD understood. He's like, "Man, Drew, you got to do what's best for you in this profession, your family, and it's closer to home, and we get all that." So I was at Maryland for 5 years. Only 5 years because you didn't win a lot of games. That's how profession works. So what have you done for me lately? And honestly, I found I got let go, and the job opened up at Colorado. And I knew a couple of people that knew Mike McIntyre, who was the head coach at the time, made some calls. I think I talked to Mike Mack like on a Friday. I didn't hear from him for 27 days later. During this time, I'm like, man, that job's been filled. I'm just going to check my family, not even paying attention. I get a phone call on my phone one day, and I see it's a Denver number. I'm like, I don't know anybody in Colorado. So I didn't pick up. So I answered it a little bit later, and I'm like, oh, shit, I might want to call him back. Flew out like 2 days later, interviewed, met with the AD, met with the assistant AD for football. You know, it was a quick turnaround. I got offered the job the next day. I was like, sir, when do you need me? Me and my wife drove out like 2 weeks, about a week later, I think. And I've been here 5 years, have survived by the grace of God. And I say the grace of God because in our profession, when the staff gets fired, head strength coach is on the top of the chopping block to go. Every football coach has their guy. But I survived. I'm on my third head coach here by the grace of God. And maybe I always make the joke, maybe I'm fooling these people well enough, keeping me on. But I feel blessed to be here because if you've never been to Colorado, it's just from a quality of life standpoint, beautiful, man. But that's where I'm at now, and I feel blessed.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've realized with you, man, and I've came to know you pretty well now is that you're always trying to learn. I get probably maybe 2 or 3 questions from you a day, you know, and honestly, I don't mind it because I like that. Like, I do like that. And a guy of your caliber at your level still willing to learn and grow. And I feel the same way. That's why we can connect, and that's why it shows your growth, and that's why you're still at where you're at, and you're still at the top of your game. Now, before all of that, right, before college, right, what got you into, like, lifting weights in general? Like, what was it? You getting ready for football? You just wanted to be strong, look the part? What was it?
Man, you're going to laugh. Going to high school, I weigh about 220 right now. Going to high school, I weighed 100 pounds. Trying to play ball. Yeah.
Wow.
I was
how tall were you, though?
Man, I might have only been, like, maybe 5'5".
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If you guys don't know, if you don't see him on video, the dude's a monster. Like, he's a big guy. For that to be like that, to turn into that, I don't know how that happened. But go ahead, please explain.
Yeah, no, and I was just little, man, getting the shit beat out of me. Like I was a dude that was trying, but it was a sign at birth. I wasn't winning some of these battles. Like, these dudes were just bigger than me, and they had me playing like offensive line and stuff. And I'm just like, man, I can't do it being this size. So it was just a quest to get bigger and stronger. And like, I have, which I think is a good quality, but also can be a bad quality. And my wife loves it, but hates it about me. When I'm fixated on something, I'm all in, all chips in, all bets are off. You will not distract me. And that's how I was trying to get bigger and stronger and faster. And maybe obviously reading bodybuilding stuff is the wrong stuff. It's what I knew, and I made sure the information was what I could do, because I was a guy that broke it up into body parts. I didn't know. I was like, all right, well, this is today's chest day. Tomorrow's legs, whatever. Yeah. It was just to be stronger, man. And by the time I left high school, just honestly from eating and lifting and running, I weighed about 205 pounds.
Wow.
So years I put on about 105 pounds, and I'm not gonna say it was all pure muscle.
Yeah.
I wasn't a dietitian. I just ate what I could find, and I just lifted weights. And the dude in the weight room, like, if we were open 3 hours, I was there for 3.5 hours, because I would beg the coach, like, oh, I gotta get a little bit more, and because I didn't know. Yeah. So the quest to be a better athlete, so to speak.
For sure, yeah, and like I said, that again shows your dedication to not only your profession now, but just your ability to grow and to progress as an individual. You do that with your family and everything else. What I do want to ask you, though, because of the fact that it is such a cutthroat industry in collegiate sports, what are some of the hurdles that you have to get over as a collegiate strength coach getting into, let's say, a program for the first time?
I think it has a lot to do with knowing people, because it's like, if I didn't know Bo Sandoval, I don't know if you and I would have ever hooked up, because it always comes down to the connection thing. And that's nothing personal against you. It's just you do what you do, man, and people see who you come in contact with. So sometimes there's an ulterior motive to get next to you and not be the benefit for their benefit in a way that helps, like, where it's like an educational piece. It may be just ulterior motive to try to oh, maybe steal one of your fighters. I look at things like that. What are people's angles? And to get in this field, I always, especially if it's somebody I'm going to hire, I do my research about them. Like, I want to know who they know, where they've been. So I think it's just to get to know you field. And I think that goes with I think that goes in business in general. I think people have to be able to swallow their ego and realize they don't know shit. I think a lot of people that, especially young coaches nowadays, they look at me like they should be writing a program. And I'm like, dude, you can think what you want. I've just been doing this for 15 years, 10 years as a head.
So let me stop you right now. I know because we talk about this all the time. And what did I say to you? I said, well, is it working? And you say, oh, we've been successful. I said, then don't change it. I said, you got it, right? You've proven that this is working for you. Let's not fix what's not broken. My bad. Keep going. Sorry about that.
No, and it's I want people that are going to help understand the culture I'm trying to build, because I think culture is key with anything you do. I think it's probably key with your fighters, having the right people around them. I think it's key with my athletes, having the right people around them. So people that intern for me, we go through, like, it's probably overkill, but if we have, let's say you have 25 people apply for the internship, thorough background on you. We vet you as if we're going to hire you full time, because we like to take 10 interns just to have more hands on deck. But at the same time, if we get one, I'm fine with that too, because you're the right one. But I think it's just people understand that you're not going to get paid a lot. If you got into strength and condition, and I say this like this, head strength coaches at Power 5 schools, we get paid well. We get paid well, and we are blessed. And I say we're blessed because sometimes people don't understand it's a blessing to be here, because we could be, if I get fired today, University of Colorado football program will go on. They will lift weights. It doesn't matter who's in charge at the end of the day. But we get paid a good salary. But starting out, you don't. Like I said, I made $300 as a restricted earnings coach. My full-time job at Kansas, I made $32,500. Man, when I made $32,500, man, we was going to Sizzler that night. We were getting paid and just having a great time. But it was just like you're getting your foot in the door. So I just think it's the longevity of the grind, the uphill battle, always understanding. And I think even for somebody in my position, I don't think you have to reinvent yourself. I think you just constantly got to adapt to the terrain. I always tell people, if you was going to fight a war in the desert, you're going to wear green camouflage because you about to
That's good. I like that. Yeah, I mean, adaptability is key. And that's in anything, right? That's what we talk about all the time. And the reason why you were able to gain your weight, the reason why you were able to produce the athletes that you've been producing, is because you were able to adapt and mold yourself with the times and now are changing. And the things that we talk about too as well, especially, even with your venture with BJJ, and we'll get into that later. But I know I wanted to give you this because I know I have a lot of like young coaches that are looking to get into college coaching and even in professional coaching. What are some of the, and you can, it could be broad, you can elaborate if you want, but what are some of the positives and negatives that you see being a head strength coach at a major university?
Positives, and this is probably because of where I'm at, I can reach a broader audience, because what do people associate with, oh, you're at Colorado, man, you must be the best. And I am, maybe I'm not. To me, I know what I do, and I feel confident when I do. That's what people's opinion of me. Have your opinion, I don't care, but I think you can reach a broader audience in terms of what you do, because we do use social media to promote our program. I love promoting our guys. I love being around our guys. And don't get me wrong, I love my family time right now, but I miss my job. I do miss teaching these dudes, and I always tell them, especially when we are like having virtual visits, like we were talking about before we got on with our recruiting. I tell my kids, I don't care about the weight you lift. I don't care about the sets and reps, because I coach people, not weights. And that's the biggest thing, because I have Donald Brown, he's a running back that was, when I was an assistant at Connecticut. Him and I, about 20 years later, still staying in touch. The dude's played in the league. He was a first-round draft pick by the Colts. Humble dude, one of the probably hardest working dudes I've ever met. And this is a dude coming up through college. I would tell him, just to motivate him, you'll never play in the NFL. You don't work hard enough. Like, these things we got to do. And that dude was like, let me put it this way. His senior season, that dude lived 4 times a week during the season, because he felt it made him a better, and he led the nation in rushing that year.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest positive, having an impact, because some of these kids come from shit, man.
Yeah.
You want to know, like, people talk about, oh, that ain't a tough dude. And I kind of like shrug at it, like, okay, so how do you define toughness?
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe the kid's not used to your weightlifting environment, and he quit, and he's not used to it. But the same dude sleeps on a dirt floor and doesn't have food, and he sleep for dinner. But you just said he's not tough, or the mother or father's struggling with a drug addiction, and they're helping raise their younger sibling. But you say he's not tough. So toughness is a broad spectrum, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
So and to me, that's just the positive. The negatives, it's just not for long, man. When you get people being a place, it's just things can happen that are out of your control, and we've seen across college football. I'm not going to front on that. Like, we've seen people make bad decisions at all realms of the organization, and it affects everybody.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think that's where you have to have a good, solid foundation in a network of people that you have an inner circle. And I keep my circle very, very small, very small. Like I don't converse with a lot of people, but the ones I do converse with, I respect their grind. I respect what they do. And I believe in my hearts of hearts, they're in it for the right reasons. And not saying I've never been fooled, but majority of the time, I think I can read people and that they're in it for the right reasons. And that's why I want to surround myself with people that are smarter than me. But like I said, the only negative early is just not for long. That's it. I mean, even now, I'm not coaching my athletes, but guess what? Some people may look at that and they go, oh, woe's me, I'm Zooming, this and that. You know what, bro? You got a job. Shut the fuck up. Be blessed and know that you still have a job, because there's some people that got laid off during this pandemic, but they don't know how they're going to pay their bills. Yeah. I have a job, man. I get to talk to my athletes still. So that's just the way I look at it. Sorry to go on a little tangent there.
No, you're good. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted, Drew. See what I'm saying? When I first met you, when we talked on the phone, you go, man, I didn't think that I was going to be able to, like, I guess you said something like, I didn't think we were going to talk like this. And that was funny to me, because I guess because of the fact that I'm always trying to reach out and help people as much as possible. And for the same reason of why I still do what I do as a coach. Because I honestly, at this point in time, I can take a couple of my fighters, I can work with Dustin, I can work with Joanna and be done. But I still work with high school athletes. I still work with college athletes, because of the fact that I still want to keep coaching and helping people. And the one thing that I found from you is that you were legitimately trying to get better. You weren't in it for, clout, or like trying to like meet a new person so that you could say something or like you say, grab a fighter or something along the lines of that. I knew why we got in contact. And even though Bo kind of connected the dots between us both, I would say that once I got to know you and understand what you were trying to do, then I was willing to go almost out of my way, not too much, because we just call and talk on the phone, but and again, at any point in time, you always got my number. You can always call me. Now, with that, okay, you have several different things that I see going wrong now in the industry. We talk about this. See going wrong in the industry, and I'm talking about college strength and conditioning let's just go ahead and categorize it as football, S&C in the collegiate setting. What are one of the things that you see that should be changed, or that you could change, that you see from all other coaches that you think is not exactly the right way of doing things?
I think the biggest thing I see in the industry as a whole, and social media has made this issue bigger, because I'll be honest with you, if it wasn't for my job, you wouldn't even know I was on this planet, man, because I'm a type of, when this is over, I sent a picture to my wife this morning of this cabin in the woods, man, and this driveway. I'm like, that's me. That's oh, I'm off the grid. Yeah. As long as I can roll and lift some weights and be around my family, I'm cool, man. I can live off the land. But I think the biggest thing is we bash each other, man. We try to put each other's programs down, and like you told me, you have a big conjugate background. That's what I'm trying. I'm on my conjugate grind now. That's what I tell people. I'm trying to learn about this whole side thing and this whole philosophy and this system they use because it has proven results, and it's just, I feel like I got to broaden my knowledge.
Yeah.
Instead of me bashing Conjugate, why not learn about it and see what I can do? Like you said to me, you said, Drew, well, what do you do? I said, honestly, we stick with a simple, basic linear periodization. You just said earlier. Well, it's been working, so stick with it. And I gave you the reasons why I've stuck with it, and you weren't like, oh, well, Conjugate's so much superior. You're like, dude, that's cool. Like, I respect that. I think that's one of the biggest things we don't do. We don't respect each other's situation because you don't work for my head coach, and I don't answer to your bosses. I don't answer to your fighters. I don't answer to, the boxing coach or the jiu-jitsu coach or the Muay Thai coach. And we all have a different situation. And maybe, just maybe, sometimes those head coaches say, hey, Drew, I don't like, I use this example all the time with my assistants. If the head coach, and this has never happened, but the head coach came down and said, Drew, I don't want my dudes to squat in season. I tell them every reason why we still need to do some type of lower body squat in season because of strength development. But if he said, you either don't squat them or you're fired, well, I guess we're not squatting. We're going to have to figure out a different way, and maybe it's something different because I'm not going to not adapt to the situation. So I think the biggest thing is we could do a better job in the industry as coming together. And I'm not saying it's all got to be kumbaya. Let's agree to disagree. Yeah. But let's not be like attacking each other's program because honestly, I see it every day. And I read through the subliminal bullshit that people put about each other's programs, this, that, or what's the first thing that happens when a dude gets fired from a college? The new strength coach comes in and bashes everything the old guy did. Oh,
absolutely.
Yep. I'm like, bro, didn't you got fired at some point? Because to me, there's two types of coaches in this field. Those that have been fired and those waiting to be fired. Fired already. I know the Grim Reaper's coming. You got to stay ahead of the posse. So I know that was kind of broad, but that's just something that's heavy on my heart because I think I think everybody has their way of doing it, and I respect everybody's way of doing it, even if I don't agree, man. Yeah. Even if I think like man, that dude's a little out there. I don't agree with that. Yeah. What? I have to respect because you're in your position for whatever reason you're in your position, and that's where God felt He needs you. Yeah. And He said, "Hey, Drew, I need you here. So keep your ass in your mind in the same spot and worry about Colorado."
Yeah. So that was kind of a setup question because I knew that Drew was gonna say that, and that's why I wanted because I wanted positivity, right? And that's, I mean, at the same time, we always look at it from the perspective of the coach and what they have to do per circumstances and situations.
Yes, sir.
And then that's where you can really figure out, well, why did they? And I always look at it that way too as well. If I'm looking at like an Instagram post, I'm like, until I see some crazy outlandish stuff, then maybe I'll be like, okay, well, he's doing this for likes. But for the most part, if I know the coach, I always say, and I'll get DMs from other coaches like, what do you think about this? I'm like, it fits for him and what he has going on. You know?
Exactly.
It just is what it is. But now, getting off the coaching, so you got a newfound love for something, right? And this is what connected us, right?
Yeah.
So explain to me how you actually got started in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and are you liking it so far? I know you are, but just give me a little rundown on it. How'd you get started?
I got started. Well, my brother's been doing it 9, almost 10 years. So he's a black belt. He trains out of Hellfish MMA in Jersey. So he got started, and he knew my profession. And all short I ever did before that was Shotokan Karate, and I did that for 3-4 years when I was living up in Connecticut. And I was like, man, this stuff's awesome. Like, man, I wish I did this stuff when I was a kid. Like just kind of grasped my attention. And then just with moving around, it's like you never found like a home base again. So my brother came out to visit, I would say about 2 summers ago. And he's like, listen, we're gonna find a spot. So we're driving. I don't know what we were doing. He like Googles Amal Easton or something. All right, I found a spot for you. I'm like, all right, one, how far is it from where I live? You know my schedule. He's like, shut up. He's like, it's 20 minutes from your house. It's 6 minutes from where you work. So I was like, all right, bet. So I didn't say anything to my wife because she knew what was going to happen. Like I told you, when I get on something, that's my ground. Yeah. So I called him. I set up an appointment for my introductory class. Walked through the doors, and it was like that surreal feeling like, bro, I don't know shit. Like, I don't know anything. Like, this is gonna be bad. Like, so I walked through the doors. Like, when I mean, like, I didn't know shit. I didn't know how to do a forward roll correctly. Like they, not rolling over your head and tucking. So you do all that, and then the backward roll. Like, I didn't do the whole, like, where you stick your arm in Iron Man boom and kick your legs over. Like, I was like, teach me like you teach the kids, and that was like just the introductory class. You get the class, and obviously they put you up with a higher belt to help teach you, and then you're like, man, I hope I'm like a good partner. Like, this dude is hating life. But then you come to realize, and this is a big thing why I train at Easton, is, they're about the community. And they believe in helping the white belts as much as they help the higher belts, and not just beating the shit out of them and using them as a punching bag during open mat. They believe that we're only as strong as the numbers we carry, and when people walk through those doors, whether it be jiu-jitsu or you see with the Muay Thai classes too, that the person there their first day has a great time to come back. And yes, we understand the monetary side from it, but for some people don't understand is, I'm 41, I tell my wife I'm 42 because I feel like I'm going to be 42 in July. This is therapy for me, man. Unless you've done this jiu-jitsu, unless you do it, you don't understand. When you're on the mat, you think about, like, you could have gotten a car accident before you walked in the door. On that mat for the next 2 hours, I'm not worried about my car. I'm not worried about anything, because I'm worried about the puzzle that is ever changing in front of me. And if I don't figure out, I'm going to either tap or black out. Basically comes down to that, but it's a newfound love for me. It's given me
100%.
a lot of perspective on how to control my emotions, because I'm a very emotional person when it comes to things. And sometimes I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and I say things I probably shouldn't have said, and it's like, oh shit, I can't take that back. But man, it's been awesome. I'm almost about 2 years. 2 years will be in July. It's been a blast, and I'm talking about even the days I go in and get the living shit beat out of me by upper belts and get tossed around. It don't matter. It was an awesome day.
Yeah. Did you just recently get your blue belt? Or am I?
I got my blue belt back. I think it was maybe in November 2019.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm a fresh new blue belt, man.
Yeah, there you go. And we got to get you. You did one competition, right? We did one.
I did one when I was with you, and I did one before that, and that's where I was seeking Bo out, and then got to you, because the first competition I made to the finals, and I'm bigger, and I'm a strong. And I'm not saying this out of arrogance, and I think you know me well enough. I don't feel like people are going to match my strength.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
My weight class, so I'm always confident in that. But I do know jiu-jitsu is not about it. There's a strength aspect to it, but it's not about strength. And it's hard to explain that for people that have never done it. And my conditioning is what failed me in the end. Yeah. And it's something that it's like that's been my grind in terms of the martial arts of the sport to better conditioning. But yeah, my second tournament that I did under you, and you helped me with my conditioning, I felt great the whole time. And I'm not just saying that because we're talking, how I feel. When Joanna fought, I told her, man, she go freaking, like, she could have went like another 5. Like, she good conditioning wise.
Definitely. Yeah, the one thing that I didn't need to increase on you was strength and max force. Let's just put it like that. I had to slow you down, and I still have to slow you down a lot of times, especially in the conditioning, because I know you want to push it, but we get the importance of those lower zones so that we can increase our overall gas tank, right?
Yeah, it's not about like killing myself every day, like a football mentality.
Look, man, we had this conversation like I think it was last week, and I told you this, right?
Because I called you after my bike session, going, I think I did this right there, and you're like, well, what was your heart rate? And I told you, and you're like, well, 1, you hit the zone you should have been in. 2, stop looking at your heart rate. You need to look more about how to control your breathing in between while I give you your rest. And honestly, the past 3 sessions have been game changers, because all I think about is slow talking myself and control my breathing. And I'm advanced at my heart rate again, and my heart rate's dropped so much more. Thinking, I can't breathe. Okay, I got to go, and try to push, and then you just gas yourself out. You kill yourself.
Yeah, and now from that general perspective, once you're able to step on the mats again, you can go ahead and transition that onto, what you're doing inside your roles. So that was what we wanted to get to. We knew you had a little bit of exercise-induced asthma, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what we were increasing, that nasal cavity. We're trying to increase the nasal breathing. So that's something that I feel like has definitely helped you out. You did do ground control for a little bit, and now I'm personally programming for you. What did you feel as far as ground control? How did you feel on that? Was it structured enough for you to understand, and then did you find benefit in that too as well?
Oh, without a doubt. Because it opened, and I'm talking about, I guess maybe I'm talking from a strength coach perspective too. Mm-hmm. Opened me up to, like I said, the conjugate realm, starting out a little bit, and just how you did, and just using a lot of the band work for repetition effort and all that stuff, and just saying, man, you can get a lot out of this. And I appreciated it. I hated that Tabata day with the battling ropes. I thought, but otherwise than that, no, it was good, man, because I felt like if people don't have my background in terms of strength and condition, it gives great base to start from. Yeah. And with the whole videos that go along with it, that warm up that you do in the beginning, man, I do some of that with my players. And the first time we did it, this is awesome. And to me, I don't care that it wasn't my idea. I just that they're like, man, I'm gonna buy into this. Yeah. And explain to them while we're doing this as we're doing it. And some guys are like, whatever, warm up. But other guys you can see, like, especially skill guys, who they're really in tune with their body, they love shit like that. So it's a great program.
Yeah, it's funny because even with the mobility work that we try to implement, and even with you, we definitely got to get those hips in order, right? And it's been working for you, and I do think that mobility does help increase all levels of performance. And even with my high school kids, and my high school kids are all 4- and 5-star recruits, so they're getting there, right? They already got multiple offers, and now they're getting to a point where they're paying attention to all the small details, and they're like 14 to 16, 17 years old, but they're paying attention to those small details. And what that's going to do is that's going to help an individual like yourself when they do go to a higher level university, and now they have all this base knowledge of understanding of their body and movement in general. I think that's something that we are missing in youth and high school sports, right? Yes, so getting back to that, obviously you want to get them bigger, stronger, faster, improve on their hypertrophy, but we also need to make sure that they have optimal movement in all joint capsules. Not to get off on a tangent on that, I want to ask you a couple more questions though, Drew, and I'll let you get out of here. So for me, I always like to, I ask everybody this, primarily the ones that are successful, and I only talk to successful people, honestly, because I don't like to waste my time. So what I would like to ask you though, what was like one of the greatest pieces of advice that you were ever given as a young strength coach or an athlete that you take with you still to this day and tell your athletes about?
Probably I had the opportunity, and we do team meetings. And, our defensive coordinator, Tyson Summers, he asked me to start sitting in on the defensive unit meetings. And then he started asking me to sit in a little bit, just in the beginning. And I would listen to some of these coaches tell their story, how they started this and that. And I know I'm going a long way to the answer you wanted. So one day we had a team meeting, and the head coach, I talk at every team meeting, and he feels like it's just good for the kids to hear from me, which I appreciate. And let me just say this. Head coaches that appreciate the strength condition aspect are golden, because there's some that don't, man. There's some think like you're just a 3x10 guy and I get any guy to do this. But like our head strength coach, our head football coach, Carl Durrell, he believes in the weight room. Believes are built from there, and that's awesome to feel from him. But anyway, I told my story about where I came from, and it started with my mom and my dad, and me growing up seeing them work hard. And that's where I think people got to go back to. You always ain't got to say stuff. It's on how you carry yourself in front of your kids, in front of your athletes, with people you work with. volumes because my kids imitate a lot of stuff I do, and I don't realize, and that could either be good or bad. Now, Rick, so I'm not gonna say everything I do is good. There's habits I gotta correct. Sometimes I cuss a lot, you know, and I gotta watch my mouth because sometimes I say stuff. And the other day, my 6-year-old said shit, and I was like, oh, that's me. That's all me. I think my work ethic. I always tell people this: I'm never gonna be the smartest person. Never. I know that. And I will never surround. And if I'm the smartest person in the room, I know I'm in the wrong fucking room. I need to get in another room. You know, I'll never be the best of this and that. But one thing I know nobody will do is they won't outwork me. I can work. And that means, you know what? If we're mopping floors, bro, I'm out mop you. Because I know somewhere along the line, some dude is going to walk through this kitchen and say, who the fuck mopped these floors? I eat up this shit. And you never know what that leads to, because I'll tell you this much, and this is the shit that pisses me off. And I'm sorry I'm going on this little tangent, but this is the shit that pisses me off. People that cut corners. We have a brand new facility, right? And we have a little kitchen hub, and in the corner of the kitchen hub is a little space between the wall and the countertop. Guess what? The person that laid the floor didn't think it was necessary to finish laying the floor back between a little space. Why? Because nobody was going to see it. I saw it. So that person, that tells me a lot about you right from the get-go. And you can say that's bullshit. I'm going to say to you, you had a choice to finish the job, and you chose to cut the corner, and forever, that is your name on that. So when you're doing a job, you know, I don't give a shit what it is. Finish the damn job, because you know what? That's where the success lies. That's where you're teaching lessons, to finish the damn job. And why do maybe fights get lost sometimes? Why do games get lost sometimes? Because we start getting ahead and we think we're going to win. And oh shit, I didn't move quick enough. I got my ass knocked out. Or oh shit, I didn't set the edge back well, and I got gashed up the sideline. So to me, it's about finishing the job. It's about working hard, never knowing who's watching you. And I'm sorry to say this, but yes, it's you're working for yourself in terms of, like, I'm trying to promote myself, but isn't that what we're all trying to do? You want to be the best coach that works with fighters. You're constantly do what you have to do. So yes, it's self-preservation, because if you don't have fighters come in, you don't have your business. Same ways, if I can't produce a certain product that helps prepare these guys for Saturday, I'm going to be out of a job. So I just think the best advice is just work your ass off, shut the fuck up, worrying about how many likes you get on Twitter or Instagram or all this other bullshit. And you know what? If you're athletes, guess what? It's going to be recognized. The kids are going to buy into your program, because I say time and time again, it's not the program I write, it's the belief of the kids in the program I write.
Yeah, that's honestly one of the best things we've heard so far when it comes to that. I think that people start something and they find it very hard to finish, you know, or they bite off more than they can chew, in a sense, right? So with that is a good way to kind of go into this one, which is, I feel like having a daily regimen, having a ritual will set up your entire day, and so that you can finish the day strong. I know what your daily ritual is because we talk every day, but I want you to tell the people, what's your morning, like, what do you do when you first wake up? What's your daily routine look like?
Man, I get up, and I'll get up later now because I don't have to, so I figure I can try to bank some hours of sleep, because you know my sleeping issues. I try to go to bed and my mind just starts going haywire of all this shit I'm thinking about. But man, I get up, honestly, and I try to start my day by not sitting on the couch. I check my phone like real quick, make sure I got nothing important to answer, and I put it to the side, because I love my phone, but I hate my phone, because it's like you hear it buzzing, you think you gotta just go respond to it, and you don't. But I get up, and I'm a coffee guy. Gotta have my coffee. Like I'm ass if I don't have my coffee. It's my one thing I love. But something that's stupid, but I do, and some people are gonna think it's like, man, that dude's like weird. But like, instead of going to sit on the couch, I make my breakfast right away, because I always think in my mind of something like what Jocko says, and I've read some of Jocko's stuff, but discipline equals freedom. I make my breakfast now. I can eat my breakfast, enjoy my coffee together. I straighten the kitchen up and empty the dish rack, because we make our kids empty the dishwasher so it doesn't stop them from doing their job. And like I do little things I have to do to help make my wife stay a little bit easier with the kids. And then honestly, I go to my staff meetings through virtual stuff right now. Obviously, if I got to go to any unit meetings or whatnot, and I actually I try to tell the people to do this. I have a planner, and I have everything planned out through my day. And training's important to me. Like doing my workouts is very, very important to me, but it's also fit in where it gets in my day. And that's at 9 o'clock at night, which I don't have to do, but if I had to do it at 9 o'clock at night, I would do it. But I look at my day when I can fit that in. I get my workout in because I believe in something. And I don't know who said it originally, but it's something about do something hard every day. And sometimes maybe the hardest thing in my day, even like today's a recovery day for me working out. So that's my hardest day because in your mind you think, and it's like I ain't got to put much stock into it. But that's an important day still. It helps prepare my body for tomorrow and what I got to do. And then honestly, throughout the rest of my day, I just try to mess around with my kids, and just be a dad and be a husband while I'm home during this time. But I mean, it's I'm not a big TV guy. I maybe watch an hour of TV a day. That's at night. I catch the news as I'm walking by, but I don't know what to believe on the news anymore. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but I don't know what to believe.
I tell my wife to not watch the news anymore, like at all. Can't do it.
It's so much stuff out there, but I'm a big reader, and I think you know that about me. Like, and that's just not about strength and conditioning. Yeah, like I said, I'm on my conjugate grind, reading the book of methods right now. And one thing I took from you is you're like, you got to slowly digest all this stuff. And so I'm reading it and then I'm rereading the same stuff. Like I have no goal of getting through this book within this year. I have no goal of learning the concepts of certain parts of the system, implementing them, and then revising on that. And then I'm just like, I read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. I'm reading that book that you recommend. I think it was on your first podcast. I forget who you were talking to, but was it Organized Tomorrow Today? Concept. And the one point I took out from that is about the humans can only learn up to 7 things at one time. That's why my phone number is 7 digits long. And, I can't read the whole book at this one time. I got to take it in chunks. So I'm a big reader, and it's just something I enjoy to do. I think knowledge is always out there. I think you can always learn something. And I think I use it with the kind of the mentality of jiu-jitsu. The more you know, the less you're going to use, because you're going to find out what you're really good at, and you're going to be a badass, whether strength coach, human person, jiu-jitsu practitioner in that realm.
That's perfect, man. Yeah, I want to say this because I think you're about, 2 hours behind me, right? 2 or 3?
Yeah, 2.
Okay, so when I program Sundays, right? I know that I have to get Drew's programming done first because he's going to call me, right? And I wake up at 4:30. So over there for him, it's damn near, he's probably just getting to sleep. And I know, because I know how he sleeps. So I know that when the time comes, he's going to be the first person to hit me up about a question about the program. So I have to get it done first. So that just gives you a little bit of understanding of the type of person that coach is. All right. So
I hope I'm not annoying you, man.
No. You know what, though, bro? To be honest with you, because of so much respect I have for you and what you do, and we kind of connect because we're kind of the same person, I have no problems with it whatsoever. Last question. I give this to all. And you can take your time on this one. I give this to all the guests. And the reason why it's the Daru Strong Podcast because I feel like strong means many different things.
Without a doubt.
So for you, right, what's the truest definition that you could say of a strong person?
I think when I was younger, because that my definition has evolved from when I was, 10. 10 strong was me like Hulk, the Hulk. Like beat the shit out of people, man. Fucking up. Get into football, just big hits. Still growing older. And now, and I think this is where my definition will stay but evolve. Strong is humility. Strong is being humble enough to ask for help, because most people think that if you ask for help, you're weak. And I think the complete opposite, because, you know, nobody's done anything on their own. Let's just put that out there. I don't care if you're Tom Brady. You can do shit on your own. If you're Michael Jordan, and I think Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player ever. That's just my opinion. But he learned from other people. He learned from Phil Jackson how to be a better teammate and take those qualities. Yeah. So Strong is asking for help to me, and we all need help. And maybe if you're suffering from an addiction, or you have some mental issues, or, you know, we all get. I'm probably one of the worst people that gets in my own head. I stop myself from a lot of things, not because I'm afraid, because I think of too many outcomes that will never happen, and maybe I'm planning for too much. I don't know, and I'm better with that. And some of the things, I don't know, that you've taught me have helped me look at things like that, where especially when you say, I think the biggest thing you helped me with when you said, bro, you're not going to learn it all in one day. That brought down some anxiety. So I think Strong is just reaching out to people and checking in on them. You know, I have a weekly goal, and it says text friends, see how they're doing. And that's people. Sometimes I just text them, happy birthday, bro. What's going on? How you doing? You know, or because there's my circle who I probably talk to every day, and then there's people that it's like I care about them, but they're I don't want to call them acquaintances, but they're people in my life. Yeah. So Strong to me is being able to ask for help and being open. And I think that has allowed me to be a better husband, be a better father. Because I think we'll all say, oh, we know what our wives want. Do we really? Got down, and I'm guessing speaking to all the husbands, and ask your wife what she really wants. And really listening and not guessing at it and thinking, oh, well, all women are the same. Well, no, they're not. That's why you married your wife, because she was different, and so to speak. And I think part of it's just taking the constructive criticism. And I'll come out and say this, because I've told my athletes this. I'm very transparent, and I'm very open, and I'm brutally honest to a fault. But my wife told me one time when I was starting out in this field, and this is probably good advice for young strength coaches, I was failing as a father to my kids because I was not home a lot. And talk about getting punched in the face, like broke down, like, man, she basically said I suck. Like I'm the worst dad. So I had to reevaluate things, and I asked her, how can I do things to be better? Because I obviously didn't know. And I took what I was doing from the experiences that I saw. So I was doing something wrong. So there I go asking for help. And like I said, I think it's just made me a better husband, better person, better, coach, better friend to people. I ask people how they're doing a lot more, where before I grew with the mentality, bro, suck it the fuck up. Like, it's just called life. But even your strongest people break. Yeah. And they need somebody to be there for them. And man, I've learned so much from my athletes, just about the lives they have. That are, I have one kid on my team, man. His mother and father are both gone. Like, gone. Like, both gone. Like he's 18. I can't fathom that idea, because I'm 42 and still blessed. And it's just like, holy shit, man. Yeah. Like, you got to be a better human being. I guess if I could just end it on this, I just try to be a better person every day. Not because I think it's the cool thing to say. Yeah. I just feel like my life personally is more fulfilling when I do more outside of just my blinders. Like I said, my fault is when I get on my blinders, man, hell or high water, if you're in my way, you're gonna get mowed through, and I need to get this shit done, versus sometimes stepping back and looking at a broad perspective of the world and seeing where I can make a difference. And I try to instill that viewpoint on my kids too, because I have a 6-year-old, 11-year-old, and 12-year-old.
Yeah, man, that was a great answer. Like, I always seem to find that the ones that answer this question, it solely represents them. This question alone. And again, it represents you and what you stand for. For me, I need you to do this, okay? This is coming from a friend, okay? Yeah. I know you don't like social media, okay? I know this.
Oh, what do you mean? I'm a big social media guy, you know.
But if you look at it, though, Drew, right? You're trying to make an impact in the world. Yeah. And if you know what you're doing, and you're successful and you have the information there, the best thing that you can do is share that information.
No doubt.
And the best way to do that, unfortunately at this time, is through those means of social media.
No doubt.
So, with that being said, tell them your social media, please.
Oh, man. My Twitter's Coach D Wilson, and then that's my Instagram. Sorry, Wilson. That tells you how much I care about my social media. And my Twitter's Coach Wilson Drew.
There you go.
And then I'm on Facebook, but I'm only on Facebook just for my more family stuff. I don't really post anything on there. And then, to be in the private mentorship group with you. Mm-hmm. And just something I'd like to add too. One thing, and I would say in the BJJ community, that has really, really helped me is you walk through those doors, right? And you look at some of those people, their physical statures. Like I walk through the door, you can say, okay, that guy works out, lift some weights. Some of those dudes, they're like little skinny little fucks, little book nerds and shit, like smart fucking people too, man. I met some dudes, I'm like, dude, what do you do?
Yeah.
But every black belt I've met at my academy that I train at Easton or at my brother's place, Hellfish, all humble motherfuckers that could fucking fuck you up in an instant.
Yeah.
But don't have anything to prove to you.
No.
And are genuine people, man. And I think it's like sometimes I look in the world and I'm like, here you have these trained killers, and they are some of the most humble people in the world. And that just goes back to what is strong. Being strong is being strong when you have to be strong physically, mentally, emotionally. So I think it also goes to the realm, because I go back to when a coach says a player's not mentally tough but has no background on them.
Yeah.
Bro, you have it twisted right now. Yeah. You have no idea what strong is. You said he's weak because he failed at something that's new to him, but he grew up sleeping on a dirt floor. And that's the story. I coached a player that grew up sleeping on a dirt floor. Come on, man. Yeah. Let's keep it real. But that's sorry to go off on a tangent again. Just something that popped in my mind when we're talking about social media, because I follow a lot of BJJ stuff, and now it's not to see cool moves. I give a shit about the fucking Instagram, YouTube moves. Yeah. Learn about the philosophy, what people are saying, and just listening. And we got at Easton, we have Elliot Marshall, and we have they call him the Shaved Gorilla, 6'7". He fought Bellator. Elliot fought in the UFC. Two of the most humblest dudes I ever met.
Oh yeah.
Take dudes out if they wanted to.
That was one thing, because fighting is primal. So like, when I was fighting, like, I used to get into a lot of fights as a kid, like high school, middle school, right? Because I had a lot to prove growing up where I grew up. But when I started fighting, like, all of that stopped, because I fought every day in the gym. I knew what I was doing. There's nothing for me to prove to try to start a fight with somebody. There's no point. Yeah. So, and then with my elite fighters, we talking about Dustin Poirier, Ioane Jędrzejczyk. Man, Junior Dos Santos is the most likable guy in the world, but he's a fucking heavyweight killer. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, but he's a big goofball. Like, literally, he's one of the biggest kids I've ever seen in my life. Super nice, super humble, and that you hit it right on the head. When it comes down to combat sports and you actually knowing what you're doing, it does transcend it over into your daily life. So, all right, man, I'm going to get you out of here.
No, I appreciate you.
Drew, thanks a lot, bro. We'll talk after this. Don't go off. I want to talk to you a little bit more. But,
yes, sir.
Guys, if you have any questions for him, hit him up on DM. I like to see if he can get on there, if he knows where the DMs are. All right, I'm Phil Daru. That's Coach Drew Strong. Drew Strong. Drew Wilson. Daru Strong Podcast. I'm out.